This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. When was the last time you reviewed your insurance policy? So it's been a while, huh? Well, no worries. My friends at the Austin Brummett Agency would love to hear from you and provide you with some amazing rates. Give them a call at 678-402-8262 or email them at abrummett@farmersagent.com. That's ABRUMIT at farmersagent.com, and tell them Harley sent you. Insiders, Inside the Bubble with Harley G is now sponsored by BetterHelp. As a partner of this episode, listeners can access the BetterHelp link located in the show notes to receive 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help. Go to BetterHelp, that is BetterHelp.com/inside the bubble, the link to get started. You're listening to Inside the Bubble with Harley G, the podcast for the superwoman. Every week, we connect with amazing individuals who share their inspirational experiences and stories while motivating and inspiring purpose. It's time to hang your cape. Grab your coffee, your water, your cocktail, and come on in Inside the Bubble with me, your host, Harley G. Insiders, I am hyped today. Like, I'm pumped up. I love it. I do. I'm here with Lashunna, and we are about to have an amazing conversation. A little background about Lashunna. She is, she's so, okay, so I started following you months ago, and to see the way you are inspiring individuals and motivating individuals and your message. So we're going to get into that.
Okay.
But first, I want to go a little bit into your background and tell us a little bit about what you're doing and why.
Yeah.
Why? Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Okay, great.
So, I am Lashunna, and I'm actually a certified life coach and speaker. Yeah. And so I developed a community called Girl Let It Out. And Girl Let It Out is for ambitious women of color who are high achieving, just giving them a safe space to grow, heal, and thrive. While I was on a journey, like a growth journey, a healing journey, I was looking for a community of women because I think for me it's very easy to isolate. And so I knew that I needed an environment, a community of women who were on the same journey. So I was looking for different communities, and I found some great ones, but there was a missing component. In those environments, I felt like I had to show up with everything together, lead with my accomplishments, which I'm very proud of. But I saw that there was something missing in the space, the women's empowerment space. I didn't want to be a part of a Mean Girls Club or somewhere where everyone showed up with everything 100%. I wanted a space where I could be celebrated, challenged, but also a space just to let my hair down. And I think when we can't find something, we have to create it.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey, like even before you started this journey, right? Like, what was that like? Like, what are some of the challenges that you have been through? Because I think it's really important, like you said, oftentimes when we show up, we feel like, it's set up in a way that we feel like we need to show up and have it all together. Like,
absolutely.
We need to be put together. We need to speak a certain way. We need to sit a certain way, say certain words. And it's just like, it's exhausting. And then what happens when you have an off day and you don't show up that way, right? Like, oh, okay, great. You kind of feel like you're disappointed, you let down, you failed or whatever. But tell us a little bit about, before you even started on that journey, what was it like being Lashunna?
Yeah, so I think it dates back to my childhood. Like when people meet me, they feel like I grew up like in the suburbs and I had a 2-parent household, and
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with that. We want that
Exactly.
but it started with a tumultuous childhood, just going through like childhood abuse, feeling a level of abandonment, rejection, those types of things, and so it started there. As a teenager, I looked at my environment. So I'm the type of person, I can learn from a person's story without, I don't have to go through something to know. Right. I don't want to go through it. And so I knew that there were some things, some trajectories, some cycles I wanted to change based on what I saw in my family. And like every family has dysfunction. Let's be honest, you know. Like we get our panties in a bunch when someone says, well, my family's a little dysfunctional. But I knew I wanted to change some things. So my growth journey really started as a teenager. And I really found my relationship with God. I can never leave that out because I feel like if I didn't build a foundation of faith, I would be a totally different person.
Listen.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. Baby Jesus.
Yes. So then going to college, just having like friends who had faith journeys as well. And I started just like reading a lot of books, watching a lot of things just about how to heal, how to address your traumas. And it all started with really hard conversations with my parents. Just about...
Okay, so wait. So pause right there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 80% of who we are is as a result of our upbringing and our parents.
It is.
Right? And so now that we are growner, I just said that. Now that we are growner, we're having to go back and dig and figure out, okay, what made me like this, right? And it's hard. It's hard to... Okay, so then when you realize, okay, well, I'm this way because, you know, based on how I was brought up and my experience and what I saw, you know, this impacted me this way. But to go back and actually have a conversation with my mom or my dad, it is first of all, it's intimidating. It is. There's fear there, right? Because it's like, well, what are they gonna say? Or am I gonna be, you know... And it's not a blame thing. That's the thing. You're not having this conversation, at least in my experience, you're not having this conversation to blame them, but you really need to gain an understanding. And there's a release. It is. There's a surrender when you have that conversation with them. So how was that conversation for you?
It was hard. It took several conversations, but I understood early on that you have to trace the root of a thing. I was in college. I was getting a degree. I was doing all the things that people tell you to do to be successful. Yes, exactly. But I knew I had to trace the root, because if I didn't, I was just going to put all of that stuff on top of it, and it was going to manifest in my life later. It was going to manifest.
Preach.
Yeah, and so it started out with, honestly, my parents been a bit defensive. Like, you know, well, I did the best I could. Yeah, and they did. And they did. Right. And I think it took me letting go of any pride, any ego, any expectation to say, listen, I understand that you did the best you could, but my truth is that it wasn't good enough. And I think it takes a level of vulnerability, and I desired to have a healthy relationship with my parents. So it took me saying, I forgive you for it. I need you to forgive yourself so that we can begin to repair. And so I did things like, I took my mom out to dinner, you know, instead of coming at her like, well, you didn't do this and I feel entitled because, first of all, I was the child. You know, sometimes you leave from a place of hurt, but I took her to dinner and I said, I need to talk to you.
And how do you not do that? How do you not... Because there's scars there. There are things that, like, there's... And then it heals, but it heals with a scab, right? Yeah. And how do you not pick at the scab? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So how do you put yourself in a mind frame to say, I'm going to put the hurt to the side. I'm going to put the resentment to the side. Yeah. I'm going to put the anger to the side. Yeah. And just have a true, healthy conversation with this individual?
I think it starts with sitting with yourself first, because sometimes we move out of anxiety. You have to quiet your thoughts and figure out, what do I feel, and then what solution do I want. So one of the ways that I handle conflict is, how do I need to approach this to get the solution that I want? If I come like on 10 with the resentment with that, it's gonna feel good in the moment, but it's not gonna get me the solution that I need.
Exactly.
So it takes a lot of internal work, again, of getting rid of pride, getting rid of your own ego, getting rid of your own expectation. And what I saw was, it began to bring her walls down. So now we're on an even playing field, and we can really talk. So then it began to open up a space in my mom to talk about her childhood and what she didn't get, so she didn't know how to provide it.
Exactly.
And so it also allowed me, in listening to her story, to have more grace for her, to have more of an understanding. And now it's almost like, let's take this journey together. And so we've taken that journey together over years, and we still are peeling back layers of her own story, you know, because sometimes, you know, we don't understand that our parents had their own cycles. There are things that they didn't get, and it didn't increase their capacity to be able to give it to their child, you know. And my mom had me in college, you know.
Yeah, and that's young.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so you have this conversation, or you have these conversations, like you said. This is not one and done, right?
No. And sometimes I didn't always get it right. Sometimes it was picking up the phone and going, you didn't do this, and this is how I'm feeling. But I would hate the way I felt afterwards, because now it's damage control, you know. So I don't, even sometimes now, with my dad, we're so much alike. Like, we're very convicted on what we believe. And sometimes it took therapy for my therapist to tell me, you can't unload everything at once, Lashunna.
Right.
You gotta give it in bite-sized pieces. And I'm like, well, I feel like if I feel it, I should be able to give it, you know? So I've also, like, gotten resources. Like, therapy was a big one for me, to just unload my own layers, and get tools in order to know how to navigate other people, because I may be a certain way, or I like communication a certain way, but that doesn't mean that it works for the other person.
So knowing your audience, this is very corporate speak, but like knowing your audience and adjusting and customizing your message to them so that they're able to receive it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through this journey of really kind of peeling back the layers of your history, of your upbringing, of your relationship with your parents. So I hear you, speak about your mother specifically, but what about your dad? Like, what was that relationship like growing up with him?
So my dad was, again, he's very disciplinary. I'm a man. You need a man to show up in your life. And it did create me to be solid and to be strong. But I was missing that tender love and care that you need from your dad. It's like, I know you're the man, but as a daughter, I need to feel that. And so I had to explain to my dad that what I was missing from him was that dad who treated me like his little girl. You know, that gave me that affection. He loved me. You know, but just recently we talked about the things that he didn't get from my grandparents. They were great parents, but the affection wasn't there. As a, you know, almost 60-year-old man, he said, you know, I wish my mom would have said, I love you more. Wow. You know?
Okay, that's major. For a grown man to say that. And so he was missing that, and for him, he saw things that women in our family went through. And so he wanted to prepare me to not go through those things. So it's almost like a trauma response, right? He meant well. Again, if I didn't have those conversations with him, I wouldn't have understood that he felt like he was doing something
that would be beneficial to me. And in a lot of ways it
Based
was.
on his experience.
Yeah, but then when you think about...
Ladies, I know there's so much to do and not enough time in the day. Trust me, I'm right there with you. But what are you doing for yourself? Well, I've recently discovered Body Bar Pilates. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Body Bar Pilates will challenge all of your major muscle groups and provide you with a full body workout. Wow. Listen, I had to check it out. I took a class with Sherelle and it was amazing. They have workouts for all skill levels, whether you're just starting out or you're just looking for a new way to move your body. This is the community for you. Check out my friends at Body Bar Pilates East Cobb or give them a call at 678-941-4371. And don't forget to mention me, Harli G.
My romantic relationships, you know, how does that affect that? I'm too
that
hard.
translate?
It's like, give me softness, you know? And so that's kind of what that was like. And again, we're repairing, knowing more about my father's story. I asked my parents a lot of questions. Like, my dad is divorced. You know, tell me about your relationship. Tell me what you would have done differently. What was your mindset going into it? And so we're still like getting to know more about each other, more about our family. My dad is also able to open up some things about our family. Like, my dad's family is very, like, we look good on paper, right? We are college graduates. We have the homes. We have the families. But up under that, there's some things we need to address.
Right.
And so my dad and I have been able to unpack that even to this day. Yeah.
For you to even be bold enough to ask those questions, and, you know, I think that it's easy for us to like go in on our mothers because we're women and we're just like, we're hard on each other and we're able to like, I think we have a unique ability to get under each other's skin. So it's like, it's easy to go in on the mother, but the father-daughter dynamic is very different. It's much more different. And for you to be able to even acknowledge that and ask those questions.
You have to ask the questions because our parents are also from a different generation. Like,
absolutely.
You know, they were taught you keep everything in-house. You don't talk about things. You know, they didn't have the same level of tools and resources that we had. And I need to know your story.
Yes.
I need to know that to even better serve you. You know, so it comes from a point where you heal and then you realize that God can use you
as a sounding board for somebody else. Exactly. Which is why I love this platform so much, which is why I even created this platform in the first place, is because yes, I'm very similar to you. I need to know somebody's story. Like, this is what feeds my soul. But I also realize that people are a little fearful of sharing their stories, or sometimes they don't know how, for whatever reason. And to be able to have this platform and bring people inside the bubble, like how I did that. You like how I did that? Anyway, and share their stories, let their voice be heard, is absolutely, I feel like this is how you impact other individuals, because they hear that story and they're like, okay, Lashunna did it. I can do this. I can do this. I can, you know, she inspired me. I can do this, right? And so this is what I love about individuals that are really out there helping people, impacting people, is that through their story, they're witnessing or they're witnessed to somebody else.
For sure.
I love it. Okay, so you go through this, you're peeling the onion, you are, you know, really kind of breaking down those barriers, those challenges. And then at what point do you decide, I think I need to help some people out there.
So I've always noticed like people have gravitated to me. They ask me for advice. I think a turning point in knowing like, hey, I need to speak more. I went to like this fashion event at one point. And at one point I was doing like this fashion blog, and it was because I had went through this breakup, and I was like, I need to stay busy because if I don't, I'm gonna be in the best.
And how did you pick fashion?
So I've always loved fashion. Like I've always loved like styling people. I went to school for fashion. So I got a dual degree in marketing, but as well as fashion. And so I was like, I'm gonna start this blog, and it really started from just wanting to feel good, wanting to stay busy, and have something to take my mind off of the breakup. And so I went to this fashion event. I think they asked the question like, how did you guys get into what you're into? And I started just telling my story about, you know, going through a breakup, and everybody in the room just got so silent and just locked into my story. And afterwards they were like, oh my God, like I enjoyed that. That was so empowering. And I'm like, okay, yeah. I'm like, hold on. And so I started feeling more empowered just to tell different layers of my story and things like that. And so I was like, it started with children because I think that, you know, we think that kids don't comprehend, but they comprehend on a much deeper level.
Listen.
And if I can get
them
young, it can disrupt the cycle. Yes. And so I started out there because honestly, I didn't want to do women. Oh. I did not want to serve women. Why? Because, you know, as women, we can be like judgmental, catty, you know, not as authentic as we need to be. And I was like, I'd rather deal with kids. They're impressionable. I don't want to fight someone for their own healing. You know, sometimes you may tell a person, hey, I don't think you handled that correctly. Well, don't tell me how to handle it. Lord. You know, I was like, I don't want to serve women. And then it was about in 2019, the words "girl, let it out" came to me, and I just wrote it in my phone, like in my notes, and I was like, okay. And so I started feeling like a heavy burden for women. I started meeting women who were gravitating to me, who found a safe space in me, like women that you would think
got it all together.
And they're coming to me saying, I am in shambles. It just takes one thing that's going to send me over the edge. Some women who are like, you know, I'm not necessarily suicidal, but I would be okay if I don't wake up tomorrow. And so I'm how
do you respond to that?
My first thing is, how long have you been dealing with this alone? And what you're saying is valid. The first thing I try to do is not invalidate someone's experience, because I think our natural response sometimes is like, girl, but you got this and you got that, and look at your life.
Exactly.
It's like, no, what you're saying is valid. Let's dig into the root of why we've gotten here. How long have you been here? And what small things can we do to impact you daily?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not, it doesn't have to be this big major thing. Like we feel like we need to do this big gesture. Sometimes it's just a word. Sometimes it's a random text to tell someone, hey, I'm thinking about you. Sometimes it's just listening or validating, like you said, how someone feels, like letting them know that they're not alone.
Just give them the space to be. It's okay, you feel that way. It's okay.
And you may not know how to respond, and you don't have to. You can just sit there and listen.
Absolutely.
And just give them the opportunity to just even let it out,
right?
Exactly. I think that oftentimes we think that we have to say the right thing, do the right thing. Like we're so caught up in just being perfect in the moment, and you don't have to. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to listen and let that individual just, like you said, sometimes you just need to listen and just say, you know what? Anytime you want to talk, I'm here. Exactly.
Like I was a story teacher, and like there are times where women are just waiting for permission to just let it all out. There are times I'll give a woman a tissue, girl, just go ahead and get out, and she will just break. And it's almost like months and years of holding
suppression, and like you said, you holding it in,
and you just need someone to say it's okay to let it out. and they just like, it is ugly.
You let
it out. Yes. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And there's a sense of relief sometimes. There are so many women who just need to cry. Mm-hmm. Just let it out one good time, and you realize it's okay to do that. Mm-hmm. We all need to do that. I think like a week and a half ago, I had a moment in my shower where I was like, just heaving and crying. And
which is good.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not gonna be embarrassed about this. I'm not gonna ask myself, well, why did you do that? Yeah, I needed to. Yeah, yes, no, exactly. I needed it, and I got up from that moment. I was like, all right, now I can face next week.
Yeah, I had a very similar moment a couple of months ago. Yeah, where I was on the floor in my bathroom. Yeah, I was on the floor in my bathroom and could not stop. Like I couldn't stop. Yeah. I was just like. And I had I had it. Yeah. It went on for a while, and then I was able to get up and like get to bed, and but yes, you need those moments. They are needed. They are needed. Yeah. And so so you have this experience where you talked about your story, and now you're seeing the impact of that story, and so now comes the process of how am I going to serve through this gift that I have? Because that's a gift. Yeah. How am I going to do that? Yeah. So talk to me about that process.
I think first, when you talk about the process, if I were to be honest, there was some fear there. Oh, yes. There was some, it's funny how we create internal narratives. I'm seeing the impact. I'm seeing women come to me privately, but I'm second guessing, should I really make this a platform? Mm-hmm. What if I make it a platform and the women that should be connected to me don't connect to me? How will it be perceived? What if I do it and I'm like really successful and then I'm not successful at all? Mm-hmm. So it took a little bit of processing through my own limited beliefs to be able to show up for women. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes I show up even with those feelings too. Because I also think about, if I don't show up, what does that mean for the women that need me, or that are called to be connected to me? Mm-hmm. And I think that helps me to overcome it. But I start to build it, create. I started with a small group of women and I pitched my vision to them. Mm-hmm. I had like a whole business meeting, and I was like, I want to tell you my vision because I'm a very isolated person by nature. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we hide our flaws from people, but sometimes we hide the great parts of us from people too. Mm-hmm. Thinking like, will they reject it? How will they feel about it? But I shared it and they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Of course. Yeah, like you should have did this yesterday. Exactly. And so I started to have events and things like that. And when I started to see the impact of women in a room with women that they don't know personally on an intimate level, but feel free enough to uncover very sensitive areas and it feels safe. I was like, okay, we're on to something. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so, but what if, you have that one person they do show up. They come to the event, but they're still very much guarded. They're still reserved, and they still have how do you go about it? It's not necessarily a job to make sure that they break down, but how do you go about making them feel like, okay, this is a safe environment? I'm not telling you need to do this or you need to do that, but how do you go about doing that?
I think it comes from cultivation and relationship building. One thing that I found is that you get more influence into a person's life when you build a relationship. Mm-hmm. So some people, based on their life experiences, they're not gonna come. I don't care how safe the space is. Yes. They're like, no, I need to test it first. Exactly. And so I think just allowing them, the fact that they show up means that it's something that they're looking for. So I think I have the job and responsibility to just continue to make it safe, to cultivate them and to get to know more about them, because different things make different people feel safe. And I think when you create a culture within your platform or your business or whatever it is, as people begin to consistently get in that atmosphere and environment, it starts to bring their walls down. Sometimes slowly.
Yes.
But usually those type of people, once it's down, it's down.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the fact that they're even there.
There, exactly.
Right? So in itself, like that speaks for itself there. And it's just, I do believe that they're not there by happenstance.
Yeah.
There's absolutely a reason why they're there. And they were put on that path. They were put on that journey. And so, just that in itself, you know, like you said, it'll take, you know, some people are more prone to like jumping in and just, you know, and some people, it takes time. There's a process to it. So just the fact that they're there, like, speaks for itself. I feel
absolutely.
Like. Okay, so you pitch this vision, you pitch this idea, this platform that's going to allow women to come in and to just let their hair down. Right? And you get good responses or whatever. And then so now you have to put this idea together. You have to, it's time to execute, right? Talk to me about that, because I know from my experience, even when I was creating this platform, I felt like, you know, you hear stories about individuals, how they are about to go into these new ventures or whatever, and you know, there's fear involved. There's like oh gosh, you know, how there's doubt. There's anxiety in it, you know what I'm saying? But for me, I felt like once I made the decision, and that's my story, and that's my experience, and somebody else's story and experience is very well different, you know, according to them. But I felt like once I found my purpose, for me it was like I'm gonna jump in, because I can't let this fear stop me from doing this, and I'm gonna figure it out along the way. And guess what? The right people came along without me even really having to really search. They came along and they were like, okay, I got this piece, I'm gonna help you with this, we're gonna do this. And I was just like, I was just amazed by it. But how was it like once you started putting this vision into action? How was it for you?
I think the first thing was doubt. How am I going to have the resources? Is this going to be expensive? What if I spend this money, people don't show up? Very similar to you. But I remember I was going to, someone that I used to work with set me up with a meeting to have a company sponsor me. And I almost didn't show up. Because at the time I didn't have my website. I didn't have my IG. I had took time away from social media for like a year to focus on my health, my mental wellness. So I'm like, I don't have all these things. They're going to think I'm a joke. And I just felt the peace of God in saying, you just need to do the work and let me worry about the resources. And so sometimes we want to have A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. But I think as we step, the next step is prepared for us.
But that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to step out on faith. He was like, I want you to have so much faith in me that I'll be able to provide
everything.
I'm gonna be able to provide for you. But I need you to take that step.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I think what these things do is they uncover some of our limited beliefs. Because you know, we like sing these worship songs and we're like, oh, I trust God and you know, all of it, and it's like,
but do you though?
But do you trust him when he shows you the entire picture? Or are you at the point, and it can grow your faith where you literally trust him step by step. That's different, you know? And so I went into the meeting, I pitched my vision, nothing on IG, no website. And they said, just based on your passion, based on how, when you talk about it, you light up, we're going to sponsor you. And then we're going to connect you with this person, because this would be good. And so I think God laughs at us sometimes where he's like, girl, I got it under control. Calm down. You know, and you have to get in the car and be like, okay,
God be laughing at me every day.
Yeah. He's like, but he knows his child. loud, you know? And so it started being that, and I'm just working on like consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want my brand to look a certain way and to be a certain way. And those things are important but they grow. Exactly. When I look at a video edit that I did 4 years ago that I thought was fire, I'm like, this is horrible. You know, but it grew. Exactly. And I think if we focus more on just like consistency, that's what I'm learning. Focus on consistency. Everything else will come in the way that you need it. And you have to relinquish control in this. Because it's different when you're just doing something for monetary value. It's a different thing when you're doing something for purpose.
For impact.
Impact. Exactly.
Exactly.
So you have to be consistent no matter what, you know, and again, it uncovers you. As much as you're giving to people, you're being developed in it at the same time. Yes. So that's what I've been learning in building. Just stay consistent,
continue to build.
Yeah, and continue to build. And what is supposed to be attracted to you will be attracted to you. But don't sabotage it. Because I think a lot of times we self-sabotage. And then we're like, well, see, it didn't work. And it's because you sabotage it. And so I try to tell myself, I step back sometimes and I say, is this a thought that's based on a trauma response? Is this a thought birthed out of fear? Is this a thought based out of anxiety? And a lot of times it is. And it's like, if you don't address those internal things, you'll sabotage it. And it's best to develop those things early on when you're building your platform. Then when you grow a platform and you look successful,
but you have all these
those roots
things underneath, right? That you never address, or whatever. And that's one thing that I started adapting lately is saying, prepare me for what is to come. So that I don't, once I have it, I don't screw it up.
Exactly.
Basically. Exactly. So I was like, I need you to prepare me. Whatever it is, whether it's success, whether it's a challenge that I'm about to face, prepare me for that.
Exactly.
Like, my marketing manager, you know who you are. She said that she was getting ready to go into something, and she said, you know, sometimes we don't have time to do the long drawn out prayer, but she said, all you and none of me. That's all you need to say. Just say that, all you and none of me. And go into it. You know what I'm saying? And trust that he's gonna speak through you. Trust that he's gonna use you as a vessel. Trust that he is there for you, advocating for you, speaking on your behalf. Really knowing that, and it's a challenge to constantly remind you of that, right? It's a challenge. My sister, I mentioned this in a solo podcast that I did lately, but a couple of years ago, my sister for Christmas gave me a bracelet.
Okay.
And the bracelet said, it had a scripture on the bracelet, and the bracelet said, believe in yourself as much as I do. And I was just like, listen.
Yeah.
She don't know it, but I gave her the side eye.
Yeah.
I was just like,
what you saying?
And for some reason, that hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and you know, I had the appropriate response when she gave it to me. I was happy. I loved it. It's a beautiful bracelet. Yeah. So, you know, I responded how it was, but it stuck with me and it hit me. And it's like, I would put on the bracelet knowing unconsciously that I did not. Yeah. That I doubted myself, that I had fear. And at the point, I wasn't even in a place where I was, I was like even looking to do that, to go on that self-discovery journey. I wasn't even there at that point. So, and I'm sitting here like, and I knew it. I knew I did not believe in myself. I knew it. I knew that I had let self-doubt, I had let fear, I had let the overthink, all of that. Like I knew it, and it was just kind of like this little token just brought it to the forefront, and I was just like, crap.
No, that's real. Yeah.
calling me out. You know what I'm saying? I knew it. He was like calling me out on it.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't show up for yourself, if you don't, like, why are you looking to people to validate you?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, all right. And it was literally that year, months later that year, that I really kind of got on that journey, and I was like, okay, it's time.
It's time.
It is time for me to do this.
Yeah.
And it can be very daunting.
Yeah.
To figure out, what does that look like?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Like, how am I gonna know? It can be very daunting, but that is why you have people like Lashunna that will come on your path, and they will lead you, they will guide you. You know, if you life coaches, find that coach that you're going to be able to that speaks to you, that if you're looking for it, you'll find it. It'll come. Okay. Yeah. So now you have this experience, you have this sponsor that is coming on, and that says, you know what, based on your passion and based how your soul is speaking right now, we're on board. You got us. And so now tell us about your platform, like what your platform does, what it provides, how it serves women.
So mainly we do events because, we went through COVID and all those things, and I feel like it's really good for us to get in the room to just feel each other, and so we provide events. We also provide different challenges just to help women to go through certain things with a community. I'm actually about to release something called Intentional Focus. And what I found is that women are doing a lot of things. We're pulling 12 different levers, and we're feeling
at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. We're feeling overwhelmed. We're feeling overworked. But one of the things when I was praying for just this year and how I need to approach it, I heard two things, and that was intentional focus and ease. And I believe that we have to start working from a place of rest and ease by intentionally focusing on the right things and let everything else come after those things. So you think about being a mom, being a wife, all of these things. A lot of times you put yourself last. Your needs are met last. And it's like, no.
Lashunna, it's like you're listening to my podcast.
It's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Exactly. Intentional focus means I'm going to intentionally focus on my mental health, my emotions, all of that. And guess what? Everyone else will get to benefit from that. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like we're getting results, but how do we feel after we've gotten the results? If it's overwhelmed, if it's tired, if it's fatigue, if it's irritable, there's something broken in my system. And so that's one of the things that I want to teach women. We're gonna talk about emotional avoidance. We put a lot of things to the side.
Is that like a series? Because emotional avoidance, like one conversation ain't gonna cut it.
We're gonna talk about building community and what that looks like in an era where the woman who may be the least of those in a room may be the most impactful. We're going to address how we view people. What do we attach to success? What are our true success measurements? If I make $200K a year, but I don't want to wake up in the morning, is that truly success?
Or if I make $50K a year,
right?
Why do I feel less than the one that's making $200K a year?
Exactly. We're going to do an identity, going back into that. What is your identity tied to? I went on a 2-3 year journey of just really learning my identity and not attaching my identity to things. Because just like you said, when I wasn't making the money that I felt like I should have made at a certain age, I wasn't even dating because I felt less desirable. As a woman, if I were to be honest, I was like, I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to focus on my career. I'm going to focus on hitting these goals and not really dating anyone until I get to this space. And the truth is, I was enough then. It wasn't when I made more money or got a better job that I became enough.
And did you feel differently when you made more money?
I did not. So we're going to talk about that with women. What is your identity tied to? Knowing that if I lose my job, if I lose my car, if I lose my house, that I'm still enough.
You still you.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so those are some of the things that we're going to address together. We're just going to go on a journey. And then we're going to get together to celebrate the end of that challenge and that journey. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And please give us the info because I would love to put it out there on the platform.
Yeah.
And, have the opportunity to have our listeners be in on that.
Yeah.
If they want to. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
But, what is your identity tied to? I feel like that's a whole podcast.
It's a whole podcast. Because I think sometimes we aren't honest with ourselves.
We're not.
It's okay to say, you know what, my identity is wrapped up into I'm not a mom and I'm not a wife. So I can't even imagine what that is like. Okay? I can't imagine the challenges of trying to develop yourself consistently, be present for your kids, be present for your spouse. And I think there are some women that just need permission to listen. You have to focus on you first, or everything else will be in disarray and you will continue to be unfulfilled, overwhelmed, unhappy, but having to show up happy. And it's like, but I'm not. And that's okay.
That was actually one of the things that, that was actually one of the things that impacted me the most.
Yeah.
And I realized on this journey, because while all these years I was asking myself, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose?
Yeah.
Because I realized that there was something missing, right?
Yeah.
There was something missing. And I knew though that there is an ultimate purpose.
Yeah.
There is a reason why I've been put here. And there is, like, he put me here, he planted me here at this time to do something. And I was like, what is it?
Yeah.
And when I had conversations with individuals, they were just like, because when I was approaching the conversation, I felt like there's something missing. Like, I feel like, I'm not quite there yet. And the way some individuals responded was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me you have this house, you have this marriage, you're making this much money, you have these kids, and you feel like there's something missing?
Yeah. They're like, what's missing?
What's wrong with you?
Right.
What is wrong with you?
Right.
What is missing?
Yeah.
Tell me. And I was like, And so then that feeling of like, wait a minute, like, yeah, exactly, Harley. What is missing? What are you talking about? So you're sitting here and you're better off than whatever people or whatever, and then you're telling yourself that there's something missing. Like, is it more money? Is it a bigger house? What is it? And it's like, so then I began to shut down because I was just like, okay, I think I'm being ungrateful here.
Yeah.
I think I'm not, being grateful for what I have. And it's not about that.
It's not about
It's not. And so you need to know that if there is if you feel like there's something missing, you owe it to yourself.
You owe it
to yourself to dig in and figure out what is that thing? What is it? What is my purpose? What is my ultimate purpose?
Yeah.
How, and the right people, if you have the conversation with the right people, they will understand.
Absolutely.
They will listen. They will help you in whatever way they can.
Yeah.
But do not quiet that voice.
Don't.
If that voice is there and it continues to nag you, then you need to take action. You need to take action. Don't ignore that voice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that's major. And I say, your purpose is something that continues to evolve.
I
right?
agree. Yeah.
And so how do you feel like, I feel like we start out one way.
Yeah.
And then that purpose, like I mentioned before, it's a moving target.
Yeah.
You're like, but I thought this was, nope.
Yeah.
So how do you feel like yours has evolved since you started?
I mean, I'm learning a lot. I think that at the beginning of it, I'm like, okay, I'll serve women. you know, but as it evolves, I realize that I have to be more vulnerable. I have to be more transparent, and I have to be more submitted. I have to relinquish control. And what I'm seeing is, as much as it is about me serving those women, the moving target is, what do I need to be able to serve them? You know, that has probably been one of the most challenging things, because sometimes I'm like, all right, cool, I'm doing good. Like, we having this, we doing this, but it's like, it will evolve into, the more vulnerable I become, the more I'm able to reach a certain level in those women.
Yes.
Because, you know, like, we have those stories that are safe stories.
Right.
That
like,
tell.
I'll say that story because it looks good, it sounds good. I'll say that one. But the real story behind that
is this. And so it's like, no, you gotta dig more into this aspect of it. And the more I grow and learn and serve a tribe, I start to learn what my tribe needs. Because again, sometimes we think this is what they need, but the more you serve them, the more you start to see, well, this is actually what they need.
Yes.
You know? Because it's easy to, especially with social media, we look at other people's platforms that do the same thing that we do, and sometimes we can find ourselves conforming. Well, everybody's doing it like this, and everybody's focusing on this. Like, there was a time where I was meeting with someone that was doing some work for me just around my branding, and they kept trying to steer me towards a certain, you need to teach women about business and teach, and I'm like, that's not true. That's not my message. It's growth, it's healing, it's thriving in that space and doing the inner work. But she's like, but this is what people are doing. This is what's trending. This is what's taking off. And what I've learned is that even when my target moves, my focus and purpose for what I do stays the same. And I have to stay authentic to it. Because I can get out here, oh, well, let me teach you how to grow this or do this. That's not my message. You know, maybe at some point the target moves years from now and that becomes a component.
Exactly.
But, you know, with the moving target, I found it's important to stay authentic to my message and doing the right thing in the right time. Because sometimes we can do the right thing in the wrong time. And then it's not successful. And then when it's not successful, now I'm discouraged. And now it's starting me to sabotage what I've built, you know. And so for me, it's about just making sure my core messaging stays the same and what I do stays exactly to who I am and what my platform was created for.
Yes. And part of that, you know, I'll, you know, have conversations with individuals and they'll be like, Harli, what are your numbers looking like right now? And I'm like, ooh, okay. Well, and I have to be quite honest with you. It's so easy for me to go and log into the platforms and be like, okay, how many listeners do I have this week? Well, somebody, oh my gosh. So last week I had this many people. This week I have that many people. And it's so easy. And it was like, at first I was, you know, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wanted to know, like, are people listening to my podcast? Like, is it reaching anybody? Or whatever. And, you know, I have some week where there's less than 100 people. And, which is fine, because then I was like, I took a step back and I said, that is not my purpose. That is not what I'm doing. I'm providing a platform that allows for people's stories and experiences to be heard. And that is where my impact is. Absolutely. It isn't through the numbers. The numbers, they will come however they come. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with that. But my focus is, so at any given point when people are asking me, you know, how many, you know, is it growing?
And then it's like, the growth will come. I had a situation like that. I did this event and I had the most people registered I've ever had. Something happened with the venue. They double booked. And I had to switch it to like the following week. And as I'm there, I set up and it's like people are just trickling in and there were like 14 women. And I was like, I can't even believe this. Like, this was like so many women signed up, you know.
Yeah.
And I just heard, again, that piece of God to say the people that are supposed to be here are here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most impactful event I had. The women were sharing, having breakthroughs. We were able to speak into every woman's life individually. And so there was a purpose for that. And so when I think about growth, you know, I did grow. Even though I didn't grow in like numbers. Like numerically,
exactly.
That impact will stick with them for the rest of their life.
Forever.
And then they'll tell some other woman the next time, girl, you gotta come.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
I got
you know, and one of the women that found the event through Eventbrite, she said, I've been looking for this. And I'm so glad that it was a small, intimate event. I'm like, girl, it wasn't even supposed to be small and intimate.
Exactly. Because she might have been deterred to come to the event if she was like, oh, there's going to be 50 people there?
Yeah,
I'm not sharing my story with 50
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm careful with, like, I have people that inspire me from social media, and I see, but again, we see where they are now, but we don't see where they were 5 years ago when they only had three people tuning into their live.
I've wanted 3 people. But yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't tune into, okay, so I have that, I'm going to use my cousin. Love you. I'm going to use my cousin for this example because he, and I'm gonna compare him to someone that we all know. Yeah. But I have a cousin now. His name is G, and he's an actor. Okay. And he's had a role in some major movies that we now know, right? So he actually had a role in John Wick. Okay, ooh. Opposite Lawrence Fishburne. Okay. So, and he's met Keanu Reeves and everything, right? Yeah. And he's actually had a role in Power. Okay. So he acted in that series or whatever. And it was so crazy because I didn't even know that he was in Power. Yeah. And I'm sitting, my husband was sitting there watching it, and he was like, babe, it's G. And I was like, yeah. Oh my God! Yeah. You know? Yeah. And he, you know, so he's been getting out there, and now he actually filmed in the series it's a Tyler Perry series. Zatima, yeah. Yeah, Zatima. He's a main character in Zatima. And so I say all that to say he's starting in these roles, right? Yeah. And so now, you know, what my husband said, he put it perfectly. He's like, look at Michael B. Jordan. And when Michael B. Jordan started in The Wire, right? And what a small, he started out small, and he worked and he worked and he worked, and now Michael B. Jordan, you know, you're like, whoo, that goes, right? And he was like, I see your cousin that way. Like, one day he's gonna have that one role. Yeah. That one role that's going to put him out there, and he's gonna be huge, right? Yeah. But people are going to see that. They're not going to see the small role that he had in Power. They're not going to see the small little role that he had in John Wick. They're not going to see, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're just going to know him for this big role. Yeah. But they hadn't followed his journey to getting there, right? And it's the same thing with your purpose and your platform, depending on what it is. People don't see the work, or social media. People don't see now that this person has 2 million followers or 2 million listeners, but they didn't see when the person had 3 people that were logging on every week to follow that person. Yeah, they didn't see that, right? So it's her journey. And like you said, you have to be consistent. Yeah, be consistent. You have to know that your message is more powerful than the numbers. Yeah. Woo! Maybe that's the title of this podcast. I always say, I need to figure it out as I'm recording. Yeah. Is your message is more powerful than the numbers. Yeah. The numbers are going to come. They're going to come. When they need to come. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So, this is crazy. Like I said, time goes by so fast when you're recording. Yes. But I love what you're doing, and I'm not sure if you're taking a break from social media or not, but if somebody who's listening, they're like, I want to get to know Lashunna.
Sure.
I want to hook up with her.
Yeah.
I love her message, and I feel like, she'll be able to help me.
Yeah.
How can people reach you? How can people be a part of your platform? How?
All right, so we'll start out with my Instagram. It's Lashunna Stokes. It's LASHUNNA STOKES. And just to stay up to date with my events, my challenges, and resources that I provide to women, you can go to my website at www.lashunnastokes.com.
Perfect. And girl, let it out. Yes. This was amazing. So I will commit, and I will say it. I will have Lashunna come back, because we're gonna. I feel like our platforms have a cross pollination.
Yeah.
That we could definitely do some collabs together.
Yes.
It's not like she's gonna say no.
Exactly.
So see how I did that?
Yes.
Okay. So definitely tune in, stay tuned, because I have a feeling that Lashunna's gonna be coming back for more.
Yes.
And I'm loving it. Love your message. Thank you so much for supporting this community that desperately needs support, and their voices, our voices, they need to be heard. And thank you for providing that space for us. So thank you so much. That is our show for today.
Yes.
We are on Instagram, of course. Inside the Bubble HG is on Instagram as well as Facebook. And guys, if you're listening to this through whatever platform, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify, whatever platform you're using, leave us a review. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear. We always love to hear from our listeners. And before I go off, you know what I always say, there's purpose in your story.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed our show today. Hit the subscribe button and share. Share this pod with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriends. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Inside the Bubble with HG. Keep the conversation going. Drop us a heart emoji. Engage with us. We would love to hear from you. New episodes are dropping every Monday on your podcast streaming platforms. And remember, there's purpose in your story.